Are you ready for high-speed motorsports talk about your local short track? You've come to the right place. Get ready to hear from some of the top stars of Seekonk Speedway right here on the Race Day Rewind podcast series. We'll hear it all, from pure excitement to disappointment of coming so close, the frustrations of contact on the track, and the thrill of winning a race or a championship. The Seekonk Speedway podcast series is a production of Souza Media. Now let's get to the show. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Seekonk Speedway podcast series as we recap all the racing action here in the Race Day Rewind Report. This edition of the Race Day Rewind Report coming from two of our race nights at the Action Track of the East in 2022, coming from racing on Friday, June 10th and Saturday, June 11th. Fast Friday racing on Friday, and of course the NASCAR Saturday competitors return to the track once again on Saturday. It is a pleasure to be back here on the podcast series, a pleasure that you're all listening to us once again. I do not understand sometimes why some people come and they enjoy listening to myself and Sam Tully so much, but Sam is here with us again on the podcast, going to help me to recap both nights of Fast Friday and NASCAR Saturday. Sam had the opportunity to sit up in the booth for both Fast Friday and NASCAR Saturday, and excited to get to the conversation here. Let's start with Fast Friday and June 10th, and our third Fast Friday of the season. A good one overall. Pretty much a clean and green night at the third mile. A lot of great racing we've seen so far on Fast Friday in 2022. And I think some people at some tracks may overuse that phrase, right? Every week they say, hey, we had a good race. I seriously mean it. I think our first three Fast Fridays of the season have been phenomenal so far in 2022. And looking forward to seeing where this Fast Friday series goes as the season goes along. Let's start off with the Seekonk Grand Prix Bandoleros in our Bandit division. Official results from this one: Darren Krantz Jr. picks up his third straight win to open the 2022 season, driving the black and green number 31. A real dominant performance once again for him, jumping out front, beating Melania Shawaski and Ryan Vaness Jr. to the finish. Colin Vaness was fourth, and Nick Uhrig Jr. rounded out the top five. Before I get too far, as we record this podcast, I was on Facebook earlier this morning and had the addition to kind of find out that Nick Uhrig Jr. is in the hospital with appendicitis. He's not going to be able to make it to our upcoming Friday on June 17th, so thoughts are out with him. Hope he ends up okay, but on the track he had a great top five finish, finishing in fifth position. In the end, though, Darren Krantz is 3 for 3, Sam, and man, he has really got things figured out so far in this Bandit division. This is the defending champion, of course, so he's a proven winner, but still very impressive to come out 3 for 3 in this competitive division.
Yeah, Darren Krantz Jr. is definitely top dog in the Bandits. When he gets out front, no one can really catch him. He just has that thing so smooth, turn after turn. The closest car through 3 weeks has been Melania Shawaski, of course, who has posted 3 second-place finishes in a row. And she slowly but surely is catching him at the line when the checkered flag waves. I think in week 2, the gap was 0.8 of a second. In week 3, the gap was 0.4 of a second. So it just kind of goes to show you, Melania, she's slowly starting to keep pace a little bit better each week with Darren Krantz Jr. But yeah, that 31 car of Krantz is it's a really fast Bandolero through 3 weeks so far.
Yeah, it's a stout ride, and very impressive for him to pick up his third win in 3 weeks. So congratulations to Darren. We'll see if he can make it 4 for 4 here coming up this Friday night. Let's move on, Sam, to the Seekonk Grand Prix Bandolero Outlaw division, and it looked like Chase Sylvia was going to join Darren Krantz with 3 consecutive wins on the 2022 season. Unfortunately for him, not the case. He passed before the start-finish line on the last restart of the race. He did cross the line first at the finish, but was not awarded the feature win at the end of the race. In the end, it goes to Brent Robideau, who picks up his first win of the season in the Seekonk Grand Prix Bandolero Outlaw class. Now, Robideau finished second on the track. However, of course, that penalty coming down to Chase Sylvia, and that hands the win to Brent Robideau. Brent was in the right place at the right time this week. It's been a tough start to the season for Brent Robideau, and I don't think he was very happy himself with the way it had been going so far this season. He finds redemption on Friday night and gets to victory lane in the number 25, his first win of the year. Second place was Adam Harrison in the 47. Hollywood has a good run. Third place does go to Chase Sylvia. And even though he got that penalty, he lost 2 positions with the penalty. So he comes home a solid third. Still a great start to the year for him. 2 wins and a third-place finish. Joey LeMay finished in the 4th spot. And Andrew Gomes finished the top 5 in car number 10. 3 top 5s for Andrew Gomes in the young start to the season as well. So the Bandolero divisions, both of them, very promising so far this year, with just about 30 Bandoleros at the track last Friday night for a youth division. That is a phenomenal number. So excited to see where that Bandolero division takes place over the course of the rest of the season. Let's move on to the Everett's Auto Parts Sport 4 feature. They had round 1 of their Everett's Auto Parts Triple Crown. Extra distance for them, 30 laps in competition. And at the end of their feature event for 30 laps, it was AJ Manuel, a former champion in this division, returning for the first time this year, unloads off the truck fast and unloads himself right into victory lane in round 1 of the Everett's Triple Crown. AJ started deep in the field and had a tire go down early in the race. They came in, they changed the tire. He went back onto the racetrack and drove up through the field to pick up the win. Crystal Murray, who had won the first 2 races of the year, very impressive run for her again. She finishes in the 2nd position, so 3 top 2 finishes for her. Henry LaValle was on the podium once again, finishing in 3rd. Jared Freitas was 4th, and former champion again returning to this class, Mikey Lafort, rounded out the top 5. And Sam, hey, Crystal Murray off to a very impressive start here in the Everett's Auto Parts Sport 4 division. 3 top 2 finishes, of course, those 2 victories. And she seems like she's going to be a real threat here in the Sport 4s as we get the season continuing here into the summer.
Yeah, that it goes without saying. It's really an understatement how capable Crystal Murray's been so far. She's able to pick her way through the pack. I mean, you just look at last week. She was caught up in at least 1 spin. I want to say 2, though. I know that she found herself towards the back of the field at least once, and within a matter of like 4 laps, I think there were 2 close cautions. Next thing you know, she's restarting like 5th or 6th. So it just goes to show you that 38 car of Crystal Murray needs next to no time at all to be able to overcome adversity and get back up to the front. And yeah, it came as a little bit of a surprise. AJ Manuel in that 88, though, he had a really fast car. Once he was able to get to the front of the pack, that thing took off. And to outpace Crystal Murray, that's saying a lot. So really great drive by the 88. But Crystal Murray, I think we're just seeing just the start of what's going to be a really strong season for her.
Yeah, AJ Manuel and Crystal Murray, for those who don't know, listening to the podcast, they kind of work out of the same team, the Murray family racing team. AJ's kind of adopted into that team, and clearly they've got their stuff figured out in the Sport 4s. And on Saturday, Richie's been impressive in the late model. So, very strong start to the year for the Murray clan, and AJ Manuel getting out on the track and taking the win here in round 1 of the Triple Crown for the Sport 4 division. In the Helger South Coast Power Equipment Pure Stocks, it was another great 25-lap feature for them, and Jeremy Lambert gets to victory lane for the first time this season. He had finished on the podium both of the first weeks of the year. This week he comes out and he's not going to be denied. Wanted to get to victory lane, and he gets there in the number 15. The Helger South Coast Power Equipment entry wins in the Helger South Coast Power Equipment division, so a good night for the sponsor. Jeremy Lambert, though, the big winner. Jordan Threlfall finished 2nd in the 92. Mike Henricks with a nice solid podium run in 3rd. Jordan Threlfall finishing 2nd has been impressive to start the early season in the Helger South Coast Power Equipment Pure Stocks. A great run for him to get up there and finish 2nd this week. Henricks also a nice podium. Mike Rotundo has been very strong so far in the early portion of the season as well, coming home in the 4th spot in this one, and Sam Lincoln in the 34 was able to round out the top 5. The Pure Stock division continues to impress. Some of the most incredible racing we'll see at the track all year. They kind of remind me of the Sportsman on Saturday. A little bit different, and of course different cars, but they always seem to find their way to put on the best shows on the racetrack over the course of the season. And no different here in the Helger South Coast Power Equipment Pure Stock. So congrats to Jeremy Lambert on getting to victory lane. The only other feature from Fast Friday was round 1 of the Everett's Auto Parts Triple Crowns for the Nix Pit Stop Legend cars. The iNix Legends were back in competition. 30 laps for them in their opener of the Triple Crown Series. And how about The run to the front of the field for this driver for the second time in 3 races. Brendan Hammond takes down the checkered flag and picks up the win in round 1 of the Triple Crown. Hammond, with a dominating performance over the second half of the race, gets out front, has to hold off a great battle between Devin Deshays and Luke LeBrun. They raced for second all the way down to the wire, with Deshays coming out on top in the number 2 position. Former champ Luke LeBrun, the defending champion at that return, coming home third in the 91, a special appearance for him. Isaiah Newcomb finished in 4th, and Mason Tessier rounded out the top 5. So Sam, Brendan Hammond, 2 wins in 3 weeks, and we're seeing this in some of our divisions where you look at the Bandoleros and you look at what's going on here in the Legend cars. Man, some of these guys have got their stuff figured out here in the first couple weeks of the season to come out this strong and go to victory lane many, many times.
Yeah, certainly a very streaky start for our Friday night divisions, and Brendan Hammond adding to that list. But what's impressive with the Legends, the field of Legends cars, is there's truly a lot of strong drivers that get out to the track and could win it week in and week out. But for Brendan Hammond, certainly in the second half of that race, to really surge out ahead of the pack and never look back. I mean, if Race Monitor is, oh no, it was kind of a close margin actually at the line. But yeah, I remember I could just in my mind's eye picture that 7 car surging off of turn 2 and almost getting such a good run that it made everyone else look like they were standing still. And it was just one of those moves that made you think, wow, like, boy, that's a strong car. So clearly 2 well-deserved wins for the 7 car. And we're only through 3 weeks, so are we going to see a lot more of the 7 in victory lane? We'll have to wait and find out.
Yeah, I think we probably are. And I think that the top 3 in this race really shows you a lot about where we're at in the Legends division. Hammond, Devin Deshays finished second. He's the only other winner so far this year. Clearly, he's got his stuff figured out as well with another podium run. And former champion Luke LeBrun, nice to see him come back and get a nice solid podium. He was really strong in this one as well. So Legend cars are off to a pretty good start here. They had a rough first week, but after that it's been clear sailing, and a very impressive run for Brendan Hammond. 2 wins on the season. So Brendan Hammond in the Legends, Jeremy Lambert in the Pure Stocks, Darren Krantz Jr. in the Seekonk Grand Prix Bandolero Bandits. AJ Manuel won round 1 of the Everett's Triple Crown for the Everett's Auto Parts Sport 4s, and in the Bandolero Outlaws, it was Brent Robideau taking down his first win of the season. We're going to take a quick break on this edition of the Seekonk Speedway Race Day Rewind Report. When we come back, more conversation. We'll move into NASCAR Saturday from Saturday night, June 11th, recap the late models, the Pro Stocks, the Sport Trucks, and the Sportsman right around the turn. Welcome back from the break on the Seekonk Speedway Race Day Rewind Report. Thanks for joining us here on this edition. We've just finished recapping the racing action from Friday, June 10th. As you know, we are moving in to Saturday, June 11th. And NASCAR Saturday, of course, into probably its 5th or 6th race of the season already. It's crazy that you wait all winter for the racing to get going. And then once it gets going, it goes by incredibly fast. We're already probably, like I said, 5 or 6 weeks already into the season as the 2022 NASCAR Saturday season continues to roll. Sam, another good night here on NASCAR Saturday this past Saturday night. And let's start off with the Chaz Auto Body Sport Trucks. It was the radical one. Rick Martin picking up his 102nd career Seekonk Speedway victory, but this one didn't come easy. Jake Veneta gets out front and really dominates the early portion of this event, gets way out to the lead, and then all of a sudden the caution comes out. And Sam, I know you've only been around the track here for a little bit, but you're familiar with racing. Talk to Jake after the race. That is going to be so frustrating to be that far out in front of the field, and the caution comes out with 10 or so laps to go. I can only imagine what goes through his head there, and probably some things that come out of his mouth inside the truck that we can't repeat here on the podcast.
Yeah, I mean, imagine being Jake, that he was away from the track 2 weeks ago. So his last 2 times out at the track, he basically had the same exact fate play out. Comfortable lead, late race caution, Rick Martin passed him for the win.
Yeah.
Of course, it was a little more played out this past weekend with the caution coming with about 12 or 13 to go because it was a 35-lap feature this time for the Triple Crown, extra distance by 10 laps. And yeah, if you're Jake, you just can't catch a break. I mean, clearly it has the speed. It can run up front several laps in a row, lead early, and then once everyone gets re-racked during that mid-race caution, it just all goes to pot. So it's a racing deal. I think did he get spun later on in that feature?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, there was contact, actually racing for the lead there, 3 wide, and
that's right.
inside probably about 10 to go. And Veneta goes around, Barry Shaw goes to the rear for the assist, and Martin kind of cruises to the win after that. I mean, it's never easy to get to victory lane, but Martin kind of made it look easy there in the second half of the race. And the Radical one is back. Very impressive in the sport trucks here. He did not bring his Pro Stock Saturday. They focused on their sport truck, and it worked. He wins round 2 of the Everett's Auto Parts Triple Crown and walks himself into the Final Four in the sport trucks. Barry Shaw is also in the Final Four for the sport trucks. I do not have the points for who the other 2 drivers will be quite yet. We'll get to that here and let you know as we get down towards the middle of the season. But Sport Truck's finale of the Triple Crown will be coming up on August 6th, and that is going to be the night where all of the Triple Crown finales will take place on Saturday. The night before, on Friday, all of the Triple Crown finales will take place there as well. So, again, Rick Martin picks up the win. Darrell Church, a great run for second. And Brittany Campbell back on the podium once again in the Sport Truck. She comes home third. Lenny Guy had a great run for fourth. And Danny Tebow rounded out the top 5. Some different contenders here in the Chaz Auto Body Sport Trucks inside the top 5 this week. And in the end, it's Rick Martin back in victory lane. Let's move on, Sam, to the late model division and their 30-lap feature on Saturday night. And a rough and tumble one here around the edges. A big wreck in turns 3 and 4 in the middle of it where Jacob Burns ends up on top of somebody else's car, which you don't see very often. He was not able to continue the race right away. They had to go in the pit area and make some mechanical adjustments and some cosmetic changes to the car after the wreck for him to get back out, but he is able to continue. Jerry Dick-Sparry Jr. is also involved in this incident. He was able to finish the race. These guys that were involved in the wreck don't have bad runs in the end. Burns came back and finished in 6th in the race. Jerry Dick-Sparry finished in 7th, but in the end, 30 laps in the books and a great battle to the finish between 2 former winners at the track and a former Sportsman champion, one of them. Paul Wallier takes home his second career late model victory and his first of the season. And he and Jeremy Lilly, Sam, went side by side right down to the finish. The margin of victory in this one, 0.03 of a second. You do not see that close of a finish very often. But in this one, really a dominating performance between these 2 drivers as they shared the lead back and forth for much of the 30-lap race.
Yeah, really great to see the 70 finally stay out of trouble. Paul Allier's had a bit of a rough and tumbled season so far, as is customary with the late model fields. Of course, there's always battles for position and wrong place at the wrong time. And in a couple instances, that's been Lallier. So to see him have a decent starting position and be able to stay up front just really showcased what Lallier is capable of doing and how stout that 70 car can be. I mean, he battled tooth and nail to hold off Jeremy Lilly for many laps towards the end of that feature. And there were times where Lilly almost cleared him low, working the outside during those last restarts. I forget how many restarts they were on the front row for towards the end, but there were multiple rounds. And for Lallier to hold his own and drive it in as deep and deliberately and consistently as he needed to hold onto that lead, it was truly impressive. So it's 2 weeks in a row from this late model division that we've seen racing like that, and that is just, it's worth the price of entry alone.
Yeah, our late model field's been great this year, and they've been great for the last couple of years. Really competitive racing. 5 weeks, 5 different winners in that division, and Lallier adds his name to the list. Congratulations to Paul. Really one of those guys that just works his rear end off to get out there and get the job done, and he pulls it off once again here on NASCAR Saturday. So congrats to Paul. A lot of props to what he was able to do. And he's the winner in the 30-lap feature. Jeremy Louie, a great run for him, though, as well, finishing in the second spot. Really close to getting to victory lane. He may get there before the end of the year because they seem to have figured something out on that setup this week. Third place in the race went to Ryan Flood, a nice podium for him. Charlie Rose had a good run from the back to the front, finishing in the fourth position. And it was Josh Hedges rebounding from some mid-race troubles, dropping back in the field, getting back up there and wrestling his way to a top 5 finish with a car that was not exactly where he wanted it. Talked to him after the race, and they are struggling right now, but still able to come away with a solid top 5, so there is nothing wrong with that. Let's move on, Sam, to the Helger South Coast Power Equipment Sportsman Division. 25 laps there, and the way this one shook out, not a lot to say about how the race went except domination from Ed Perry. I mean, Craig Bianca had won 3 out of 4 going into the race. He's involved in a wreck very early and sidelined from the 25-lap feature. Finishes way back in the 20th position, but it's Ed Perry really taking shape here in the Sportsman Division this year, jumping out to the front, and 5 races in, Bianca's got 3 wins for Bianca. Perry has the other 2, so only 2 winners in this division this early in the season, but it's Ed Perry holding off Adam Petty and Scott Seredinsky Jr. to take down the victory in the Sportsman Division this week. Steve Axon was 4th, and Tyler Almeida rounded out the top 5. So a good run for the Sportsman, pretty clean. There was a big wreck at the beginning, collected some challengers that were out of the race. Chad Baxter didn't even take a lap in the feature. He had problems all day. And so Sportsman Division will be back. 35 laps for them coming up on Saturday night, June 18th. They've got round 1 of their Everett's Auto Parts Triple Crown in the books. This will be round number 2, similar to what the trucks had. So 35 laps coming up for the Sportsman. And we'll see if somebody other than Perry and Bianca can get to victory lane. The only other feature from NASCAR Saturday was the Pro Stock race. Clean and green for these guys, Sam, here. And before we talk about anything else, I think that's a big storyline here. They had a tough first couple weeks, wrecked some equipment, but man, good to see them go out there and have a nice clean race, no wrecked race cars, and come away from this with Mark Jennison picking up his first career win. Double duty for him on Saturdays in both the late models and the Pro Stocks. And man, very impressive for him to come out and get a Pro Stock win for the first time in his career.
Yeah, really great showing, of course, by Mark. And he was able to walk away with it after about the first half of the race. But of course, Ryan Vanasse was challenging, was close underfoot for those first 10 or so laps. And it really looked like it was going to be yet another neck-and-neck battle for the lead on the night until Ryan Vanasse, the bad luck streak continues. Tire goes down, gets into the wall. Next thing you know, you see that 11 car slow up in turns 1 and 2 and find the pits. So, for Mark Jennison, that's great news. Next thing you know, there's no one in his rear view, and he finished with a 4-second margin over Mike Brightman. So a great strong showing for Jennison, but as far as Vanasse, I mean, if he doesn't have that tire issue, I think we see yet another battle down to the wire for the lead. That 11 car has had speed all season. He just needs to be able to be there to the end to strut his stuff. So I think it's only a matter of time before he kicks the bad luck streak and we really see what that 11's capable of. But yeah, for Mark Jennison to be able to have that dominant of a win over a field filled with a red hot Mike Brightman, Dave Darling, Bobby Pellin, Tommy Adams, Fournier, the whole list of guys that show up with great speed every week. Really great showing for Jennison.
Yeah, I mean, a good run for him to get his first career Pro Stock win. Another guy that works really hard. I mean, all the guys and girls in the pit area do work very, very hard. But Mark Jennison running double duty in the late models and the Pro Stocks. And that's kind of a really tough task. I know that people don't really think that through and say, oh, he's running double duty, but that's really, really hard. And take it from somebody that's talked to a lot of people that have done it in their career. It's not easy to jump in and out of the late model and jump into the Pro Stock and then go back and jump back into the late model and then go back and jump back into the Pro Stock. It's tough. It's hard work. And big congrats to him for being able to pull that off. Very, very happy down on the track. And obviously everybody that wins is happy, but you can see the pure emotion coming out of Mark Jennison when he gets the victory lane. So very impressive run for him to get to victory lane in this one. Second place was Mike Brightman, another very impressive start to the season for him. He comes away with a nice solid third place finish in this main event in the Pro Stock division. Third place went to Dave Darling in the 52. Bobby Pellin picked up the fourth position at the end of the race, and rounding out the top five was Tommy Adams in the number 56. So great racing all around on both Fast Friday and NASCAR Saturday here at the Action Track of the East. Sam, we're going to take one more break on this edition of the Race Day Rewind podcast. When we come back, we're going to tell you what's coming up around the turn here at Seekonk Speedway. We've got some real busy weeks coming up at the third mile, and we're going to tell you how to buy tickets and everything else. Stick with us around the break for the next segment. All right, as promised, one more segment here on the Seekonk Speedway Race Day Rewind Report. It'll be shorter than the other segments, but just want to give fans an idea of what's coming up here at the third mile and all of the events that we've got coming at Seekonk Speedway. Of course, whenever you're listening to this, depends on when the event. Some of them may have happened already, but here's what we have in front of us as of today. Friday night, June 17th, the Fast Friday series continues with the Bandolero divisions, both of them, the Sport Fours, the Pure Stocks, and the Helger South Coast Power Equipment Pure Stocks, and the Legend Cars. That's what I was looking for. Nick's Pit Stop Legend Cars. Saturday night, June 18th, the New England Antique Auto Racers are in town for the first and only time this year as they give us a throwback look in time. They're going to be joining us on June 18th. We'll also have round two of the Everett's Triple Crown for the Helger South Coast Power Equipment Sportsman division, set for 35 laps, so that'll be an exciting show. Sunday, June 19th, as we head into a triple header weekend for the first time, Monster Trucks, the Monster Trucks Spring Bash coming into town on Sunday. Sam, I've seen Monster Trucks once. It was up at the Gillette Stadium. This is going to be exciting. They are coming back to Seekonk Speedway, and man, they're going to be jumping over some stuff in the infield, smashing some things. This should be an exciting show for the fans to come out and see the Monster Trucks at Seekonk.
Oh, heck yeah. I mean, from what I've heard, it was so nice last year. They're doing it twice this year. I personally have never seen monster trucks in real life. I've caught them on TV a few times here and there. So to get up close and personal with some of those machines and see them catch air and crush other beater cars and whatnot, it's going to be a totally different change of pace for the third mile. But from what I've heard, they pack it out, great crowds, hopefully some great weather. And great entertainment. So I'm really looking forward to being there all weekend this weekend and capping it off with a great show on Sunday with the Monster Trucks.
Yeah, triple header action coming up this weekend. We have not seen that in quite some time here. I feel like it's been a couple years since we've seen triple header action. So going to be exciting to see how this weekend goes with 3 days of racing. And coming up after that, some other events we want to highlight here. Open Wheel Wednesday, coming up on Wednesday, July 29th, 6:30 p.m., a special start time for the $10,000 to win Monaco Modified Tri-Track Series feature. 10 grand on the line. You heard me right. It's a big prize for this race, and it is every year when we do this, but $10,000 to win on the line. That should be a good one with some of the top modified talent from across New England coming to Seekonk for this one. We also have the Smack 350 Super Modifieds coming to town on that one, the smaller block of the Super Modified division. And we will have the NEMA Lights as well, so that should be an exciting show coming up on Wednesday, June 29th. We're not into July yet, but we will kick off July on Saturday, July 2nd with the Independence Day Thrill Show, 5 o'clock. Best fireworks show anywhere, no doubt about it, right here at Seekonk Speedway. Going to be a heck of a show as the 2022 season continues. That is the Independence Day Thrill Show on Saturday, July 2nd. So make sure you come out and join us for that one. Our Fast Friday and our NASCAR Saturday season continues throughout the entire summer. We've got the Bay State Classic on Wednesday, July 27th. That is $10,000 to win for the Pro Stocks with the Pro All-Star Series. That should be a big one as well. One more thing I want to touch on. Coming up Saturday, June 25th, which is just over a week away, the Pro All-Star Series is in town for our Saturday night showdown. The regular Pro Stock division will have the night off, but many of those drivers will compete with the past series in the 150-lap feature. That is going to be a big one as well. Sam, a lot of exciting things coming up here at the track, and anything else on your mind here as we wrap this edition of the Race Day Rewind and get ready for another weekend of racing at the Action Track of the East?
Not a whole lot. Just excited to be down at the track again. The racing doesn't disappoint week in and week out. Yeah, really excited to see what we have in store. We got extra distance racing for the Sportsman, so 35 lap feature, second installment of that Everett's Auto Parts Triple Crown. Should be really excited to see if we get a third driver in the win column in Sportsman. So far, it's been Pianca with 3 wins, Perry with 2. Do we see a new winner in Sportsman this season? That'll be exciting to play out. There's a lot of contenders that have been in and out of the top 3 so far. So that's certainly something that I'll be curious and paying a close attention to this weekend.
Yeah, I think we'll be watching that and all of our divisions. I think there's a lot of storylines across the board, both on Fast Friday and NASCAR Saturday, with these guys really putting everything they have out on the line, and they've put on some great racing so far in 2022. Really excited to see how it shakes out. Once again this weekend, Fast Friday on Friday night, June 17th, and NASCAR Saturday coming up on Saturday, June 18th. So looking forward to seeing everybody at the track. Remember, you can buy your tickets online at SeekonkSpeedway.com. You can also buy flex tickets, so you don't have to walk yourself in to a specific event. You can buy the flex ticket and kind of pick the event you want to go to as the season goes along. So check that out. Go to SeekonkSpeedway.com, grab your tickets, and if you're not able to make it to the track, you can watch the racing back on the Seekonk Speedway TV. That is Seekonk Speedway on YouTube. All of the racing action from the entire season already posted from all of our past events, so take a look at that online as well. For Sam Tully, I'm Kyle Souza. Thanks for joining us on this week's edition of the Race Day Rewind Report. We look forward to seeing you at the track coming up this weekend.